Yes, now it's going. This week, in this session, we have CoPilot in Dataflow. It was released last week, so Microsoft announced that it's now available for customers to use. There is a tiny caveat behind. It's only available for tenants that have capacity greater or equal to Fabric 64, so old Premium P1. If you have like smaller instances, it's not there. So that's like the how you can enable that. If you have Fabric 64, you can enable that feature on the admin settings on the Power BI. There, you have to understand that CoPilot is not available in every region. So when you turn this on, it could be that data is being sent to external regions, and there could be some regulatory aspects on that thing if you're a government agency or something like that. But you know better than me how your data is being handled. If this is okay and you enable that, the CoPilot appears in multiple places. This week we will look for it in the Dataflow, and in the Dataflow there is a CoPilot button that you can enable. I will delete that one because it was just there a few minutes ago when we had the finish session. I have here few tables ready from the source. Everything is coming from the SQL Server, and I have already queried something from the CoPilot. When you start a CoPilot session, it has to read your query. So basically, it will iterate over each and every query, so that, and you can see the status going like this, marking as blue or whatever the color is, so that it can answer the data set. But basically, if you have like 20 different queries, you just have to wait that they are being investigated, meaning they have been running for this to be possible, or the CoPilot to be available. If you do manual changes, you only need to load that individual table. You don't have to take care of the others. So that's the kind of difference there. First, you can query from the CoPilot, how is this query? And basically, it's explained. It's already on the screen, but you define fact internet sales, and I will do a misspelling there because it also handles tiny misspellings. Kind of we do those when we query, and now it managed to answer, but it answered now only the last step. Kind of this was better. If I ask this one the same thing that just a few minutes ago was there on the screen, it should probably answer the same, and like it did. So it varies. It understood from here that I meant this query, but only managed to answer partially the result. So kind of this is like, I would hoped that this would say that I don't understand what you meant because I have a few misspellings there, but now it answered like some part of the query, and now when I wrote it correctly, it answered the whole workflow. It even now understands the join, but I took it away. That there was a custom, which it was this step, but now this CoPilot answered me that there is still the custom step available. So there's also some kind of caching or something at the other end, because we don't no longer, I just modified this query, I no longer have this step available. But as I said, kind of, that's the one functionality. You can try to explain what the query is. Then you can ask it to do modifications for the dataset. So I can ask that filter fact internet sales everything else than currency 100. And that should take away kind of, oh, no, it went. And it says here, this filter rows 1 step being implemented, and we can see from the Power Query that it's doing that thing. So you can kind of ask that, can you please filter like that. You can even ask that join fact internet sales and dim currency. I will try to do wrong first. So create new query which joins fact internet dim currency. I'm specifically trying to tell the engine that create me a new query. Wow. And it worked. I'm a bit surprised because this, by definition, this didn't work like yesterday. So this is a good thing, a very good thing. But now it managed to create me a new table where I have join over already existing table. If I would say that, well, create copy of fact internet sales, that work? Yeah. And join, let's rename this one query fact internet sales CO, like this. And join fact internet sales CO and dim currency. So if you don't specify, oh, no, it didn't. Fact internet sales co, fact internet sales co. Yeah, they should be the same. But anyway, kind of in the Finnish version, I managed to join these together, but not as a new query. Now I don't manage to join these like the same query. So they are still the length of the window that the length of the decisions, or the kind of the decision tree, if you will, is not that huge that if you have more complex Power Query, it's not yet there, but it's getting better every day, I would like to say. But kind of this is the early phase of preview, so kind of some things just don't yet work. But you can explain, add, join, and even if you would have a Python written code. Now, unfortunately, I don't have that prepared because by mistake I closed the notepad just before this meeting. But if you would have a Python code to do that transformation, you can say that please do the transformation in Power Query for fact internet sales, which does the same thing as this Python script, if that's possible, and also kind of something that the query engine understands. But kind of at least to some extent, it's something that would actually make sense if you have Python scripts and you want to transform them over Fabric, and you have decided that Data Factory and Dataflow are the ETL tools you would like to use. You can migrate from language to language in here. Of course, it works when it works. Then I managed yesterday. Now in Finnish version, this one worked, which was funny. But create query, create calendar table from 4 most recent 2 years. I wrote something like this. And yesterday, now it works, which is good again. But yesterday, it created a Power Query that this duration step over here was misspelled. So instead of this number of days written as a separate step, it actually, the generated code had this one. I can kind of see the code. It's the same code, and this is the change I also did when I corrected the one. But this one was directly inputted here, and it had a closing bracket over there, and that was missing. So basically, it wrote Power Query that was not like syntax ready. Kind of, it was not correct syntax. So you had to come here and look for the kind of code and do the change that you would execute it correctly. So kind of, I would like to say that explains, because this is the large language model that is doing the thing. It understands languages, but it's not a parser. So it can do a mistake. And in that example, with that prompt I had yesterday, it created a query that syntax was not okay. So kind of, again, we very often think that if computer generates, it kind of generates correct code. But that was a good example that it's not executing the code. It's creating the code, and then it's the parser and Power Query engine that runs the code. And there could be mistakes. But now in Finnish version, I used different terms, and this version I used different terms. It was something like that. I don't remember which was the exact phrase I used, but it's good. I managed to create this now 2 times correctly. So even when comparing to yesterday, it works. It works better. But just to let you know that there could be times when generated Power Query is not actually, like, syntax is not correct there. So it could be that we are just, we need to do some tiny changes. But that's how it, of course, has to be, as long as it's large language model. It's not a parser. Good. Next week we will have CoPilot in Notebook if and when I will check that it's also publicly available.